I always preach talking to people, but honestly, I haven't had the urge recently. What I'm trying to spread here is the message and the initiative to basically be less filtered and talk to more people in your day to day social environments. For example, you're at the gym, you admire somebody, your mind generates a positive thought about somebody else's form or body. What you could do and what you should do, in my opinion, is go ahead and make that compliment. And that's something that facilitates bonds and that makes you feel a lot healthier. But what I realize is that there are some things that might just block you from having these authentic urges of talking to people. And this is something I went through recently. I didn't fear talking to people, I didn't feel anxiety around people, but I just felt absolutely zero interest. And there are a couple of reasons for that we're gonna break down in this video. The thing is, if your brain and body are in survival mode, it's gonna be absolutely impossible for you to feel this social interest because there is something that should have a higher priority in your life. And most people just go through situations like this where they do feel stressed, or they have a horrible diet, or they have caught a cold or something like that. And they don't feel the social interest, so they judge themselves based on these premises. But what they have to understand is that there's nothing wrong with them. It's just that they have not done the good habits or the things that would facilitate them having the social interest automatically. And I truly believe that for most people, there isn't really a need for so much inner work. Like, look, how can I put it to not sound confusing? Everyone needs inner work. Everyone could leverage some inner work and getting to know yourself, understanding your emotions, processing your emotions and your thoughts more. But I truly believe that if most people, like 80% of people, would just focus on improving their mental health, they wouldn't have any issues socially anymore. So while there is value in inner work, I believe there is a quicker alternative to getting to the point where you enjoy your social life more and you're able to talk to people freely. Now, as I said, your physical and mental health are key here. Your physical and mental health need to be the priority for you to manage to get to this point where you start feeling your social interest authentically. And for a long time, this has been my main impediment, the main obstacle in my social life. The fact that I didn't prioritize my physical health and mental health enough. I was eating bad food, horrible food, really, with horrible ingredients, ultra processed, sugars. I still have a sweet tooth and I'm crazy for chocolate, but I'm keeping it in the normal range for now. And I think that's a very healthy idea, a very healthy philosophy to live by forever. These foods make us more stupid. These foods fry up our brains because we get too much dopamine. But instead, if we manage to work on our diet, if we manage to get to eat healthier, to eat more organic foods and stuff that we cook ourselves, then we start feeling healthier and healthier, better and better, and we enjoy our life more. And that is points on the board for us to get to the point where we feel our social interest coming up. Now, the thing that I've actually been struggling with recently has been a cold. And I caught this cold like a couple of weeks ago. And despite being, ill, I still chose to go to the gym. I still chose to push hard, be a man, stuff like that. And I did manage to lift heavy, but what I didn't manage to do is talk to people because, as I said, I had zero interest of talking to people. I was feeling horrible. I didn't feel comfortable in my own skin. And when you don't feel comfortable in your own skin, it's obviously a lot harder to talk to people. And I found this quite interesting that usually I like to talk to people when I'm at the gym or in the social environments because, for example, when you're in between sets, it's quite weird. Everyone's weird. Everyone's an NPC. You're just either scrolling on your phone or you're looking at the distance or you're taking slow walks through the gym. And I think it's a lot more natural to just talk to people because there are other people feeling as weird as you do when you're there. And what I found is that most people enjoy having a bit of a small talk. This got me a couple of really nice connections as well, people that I have small talks with every single time I go to the gym. But anyway, that's a separate point. As I said, I felt zero social interest while being there because I had something that had a bigger priority in my life, which was the fact that I was ill, the fact that my nose was plugged and I had this nasal voice and I didn't feel comfortable. I felt like even like my throat was hurting, all of those symptoms. So you have to be cautious when you have some symptoms like this, some things like this going on in your life. If they are blocking you from having the social interest, from having the desire to talk to people, that's perfectly fine. Sometimes they need to be the priority, they need to be treated first, and your social interest can come afterwards as well. Now, another very important point is the mental health, and my cold recently was also combined with a bit of stress, which I don't really know if I should call it stress, but I had quite a lot of things and tasks to do in my life, in my day-to-day life, stuff I had to work on the job, stuff I had to get done in my life with some things here and there, doesn't really matter, but I had quite a lot of tasks to do and I didn't really have the mental capacity to just be present around people anymore. And again, that's perfectly fine. It's not something to beat yourself up for. And this is a lesson that younger me definitely needed, because when I started improving my social life, I truly believe that you have to be on all the time, that you just have to be social, you have to be a social butterfly, you have to show your charisma, you have to be funny and knowledgeable and cool and magnetic all day long, because unless you're like that, you are basically unworthy, you are a loser. But that's not actually how it works. And it's very reassuring to understand that sometimes other things in your life should have the priority. Now, this is more about like the stressful situations you encounter, which come and go all the time, is completely normal. But another key aspect of our mental health is how much time we choose to spend with ourselves, or like how much time you choose to invest into a creative activity in comparison to the time you choose to spend scrolling or consuming content, being on the virtual world. Because truthfully, the virtual world is so tricky nowadays. It's so easy to be hooked and to keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling for hours. Your brain is fried up, and the thing is, like, the most hurtful thing is that the virtual world is designed in such a way to numb your feeling of connection, your need to connect to people. So basically, if you spend quite a lot of time there, you stop needing to talk to people, because it gives you the illusion that this social need, this natural social need, is satisfied. But it's not really satisfied, because the virtual world can never truly replicate the connection you can have with a real human being out there. And it's pretty sad, because it's very easy to get hooked, it's very easy to be trapped in this situation. And unless you're cautious, I feel like, we are always prone to keep being trapped, to keep being hooked, to sell our attention for hours and hours and hours every single day. And this is our responsibility at the end of the day. This is our war. This is something we are fighting, whether we like it or not. We should take action that facilitates our mental health, that facilitates keeping our mental health to a level that's as high as possible. Things I found really helpful are engaging in a creative activity. So that's an activity where you are doing something to something, instead of just the virtual world frying your brain and giving you pleasure where you're doing nothing. And you might say that, for example, video games are in this category, because you are doing something to something. You are actively tapping the keys on the keyboard. But that's obviously not a very good idea, because the video games are still in this category. But creative activities could be like playing an instrument, or cooking, painting, singing, creating a story, writing a poem, creating a video like this. All of these activities are creative activities, because you are putting your creativity, your soul, your energy into something, into a craft. And these things are basically food for our soul, I would say. They are very, very, very helpful and they feel really nice. Like if you go on this sort of a dopamine detox where you try to stay away from social media, from the virtual world, and you try to connect more with yourself and with the real world, you will realize that doing activity in real life feels 1,000 times better than doing those activities online. Because nothing can feel like the real world, and it's a shame really to keep selling your attention forever. Now, the other thing besides engaging in creative activities is spending time alone, honestly. And this one might be quite tricky and scary at the same time because if you're used to spending your time in the virtual world and basically fooling yourself and selling your attention away, you will find it extremely difficult to spend time alone because you will have a lot of thoughts that you previously ignored bubbling to the surface, and it's going to be painful, it's going to be scary. You won't really know what to do, you won't really know how to handle these situations because you are all of a sudden being bombarded by negative thoughts and negative emotions from your mind, from your body. It's really tricky, but it's definitely worth trying to accept everything and to give attention to everything, to audit why some of these thoughts are coming up, to spend some time even looking at the wall or like writing stuff in your journal. These are things that are connecting you to you. And when you manage to befriend yourself, your life gets so much better because there is no negative bullying voice in your mind 24/7. Even if it still comes sometimes, it might be for good reason, but it's not there at every little single mistake you're doing every single day. Now, the final aspect worth considering here is if you are ticking all these boxes, if you have taken care of your physical health and your mental health, you might still encounter difficulties if you are not used to talking to people. So, if you've never really engaged in conversations with strangers or you are not really used to human interactions in general, it's obviously gonna be more difficult for you to start doing that because it's a new activity. And there's nothing wrong about that. You might feel a bit uncomfortable, you might feel anxious, you might feel thoughtful like, should I approach that person? Should I not approach them? I should have said this other line. This joke I said was not so appropriate. You will have all of these inner debates. But as you go through this journey, as you try to make progress in this area of life, you will realize that it's gonna get a lot easier if you try to progressively overload it. A plan is really useful as well. As you have your gym goals, for example, you want to get to a certain weight that you do your bench press with or something like that, you could have a certain goal with your social life as well, where you want to improve your social life and your social skills, we could say, your social comfortability to the point where you can easily talk to strangers every single day. And this is something that will come with a lot of resistance because, as I said, if you are not used to doing it, every single part of your body will be like, no, we cannot do this. You are so wrong for doing this. It's gonna be dangerous, it's gonna be cringe, it's gonna be awkward. All of the negative labels you can put on these situations will just bubble to the surface. And what you have to do is to ignore them all and still go forward. Now, if you find yourself going through something like this, inner work might be helpful for you. Actually, inner work is the thing for you. Inner work is the way to get rid of these things. So that's a topic for another video, but basically you have to audit some of the beliefs you're having and to actually change your self-image, to change the way you see yourself and the way you see the world outside. And that has to be done through action. Like you still have to talk to people, but at the same time you have to also try to understand your emotions, to process your emotions. Oftentimes this anxiety surfaces because there is an inner child that's hurt in there, in you, in your mind, whatever. And that child is literally a child. It's still like a 6, 7, 8 year old version of you that doesn't really live in the current era that you live in. So basically, a part of your brain still thinks the same way you used to think when you were 7 years old. And oftentimes, what's going to be helpful is to try to remind yourself that you are not alone, that you are not so helpful as you used to be back then, that now you are an enhanced version of you. Now you're strong, now you're an adult. Now you're able to go out there in the world and make a reputation for yourself and accomplish things. And like even beyond accomplishing anything, you are you. So why not respect yourself for that? Because when you were young, your mind wasn't developed well enough to understand all of these things, but now you do. Now you do know that you deserve to be alive. You do know that you deserve to have good things happening to you. And there is nothing to be ashamed for anymore. Like, even if you're doing some bad habits here and there, it's not something you have to beat yourself up for, because these things happen. To some extent, they are normal as long as they are not dominant, as long as they are not the dominant part of your life, it's all right. And no matter your accomplishments, no matter the habits you have and all of the things you're doing, you are still going to be worthy. You are still good enough. And you are strong. Ultimately, remember that you are strong and you are not that hurt child anymore. You are a better version of you. You have a superhero with you all the time, which is this current version of you. And that hurt child inside of you needs to understand that and to realize that they are really not alone. They are accepted as they are. And this also comes with spending time with yourself and befriending yourself. These things go hand in hand, because when you befriend yourself, in a way, it's like that hurt child inside of you is befriending this current version of you. So basically, your outdated reality starts matching the current reality. And there is this nice synergy. It's a really beautiful sensation. And honestly, every single aspect of your social life and even other areas of your life just becomes a lot easier and a lot better. And that's exactly what I want for you. That's exactly where I want you to get as well.